Hello and welcome back to Chat About It, Don't Shout About It with me, Rachel, the Queen of the Woke, as crowned by one of my haters. Don't forget to subscribe. Around 95% of you are returning viewers and not yet subscribed, so please help me out and hit that sub button if you would like to. Thank you to everyone who's joined me already. I really couldn't do this without you. I released my review of Joy to the World earlier today, and this is the second video in the day. I don't have time to do this video tomorrow, so I'm doing it today. Joy to the World was mid at best, but you know what this particular video is going to be about, don't you? Especially if you clicked on the title to begin with. The ratings. The Barb released the overnight ratings for Doctor Who and Christmas Day overall. They did not hang about this year. If you do not know who they are essentially the main gatherer of data information for TV, radio and broadcasting in the UK, and they tell us everything that we need to know about the viewing figures. So let's take a look at the viewing figures first. In at number 1, unsurprisingly, because this was backed by popular demand, was Gavin and Stacey with 12.32 million viewers, followed by Wallace and Gromit with 9.38 million viewers. EastEnders at number 5, and there at number 6 is Doctor Who with 4.11 million people watching in the overnight ratings. Doctor Who Shield, the Radio Times, of course, released their article as well. Let's see what they had to say. Doctor Who overnight ratings revealed for Christmas special Joy to the World. The overnight ratings for Doctor Who's 2024 Christmas special Joy to the World have been revealed. The Stephen Moffat penned episode, which aired on Christmas Day at 5:10 p.m. on BBC One, secured 4.11 million viewers according to Barb's overnight ratings. It must be noted that this is not the full story, as it doesn't include viewers who will be watching on catch-up. This number is expected to rise when the 7-day consolidated viewing figures come in. So as usual, it is the persistent reminder that it's not the full story from them. This is an argument, a line of defense, a very basic line of defense that is pretty neutral, that they've had since the last series, because in the last series they tried to defend it in as many ways as they possibly could, and the most ridiculous one was them saying that people were out enjoying the weather and that's why they didn't watch Doctor Who. But in actual reality, a lot of people had a very mixed response to the actual series itself, and a lot of people never took kindly to being told things like go touch grass and hearing what the producers had to say and general wokeism. It just put them off. Well, anyway, the Radio Times got laughed at because really, at the end of the day, if people truly wanted to watch on terrestrial, then they would actually stay in and they would do that. Now, of course, the 4.11 million viewers is without the consolidation viewing figures, which will be released in 7 days. Well, I say 7 days, but sometimes it's actually longer and then the viewing figures become inflated. I'm not going to be making a prediction this year about the consolidation viewing figure. Christmas is a really weird time for TV anyway. People do stay in more over the Christmas, so they will watch things. And on Christmas Day, people do leave the TV running for background noise and things like that. Now, it's interesting to note that this is up on Stephen Moffat's last episode of Boom in the overnights, but what is more interesting to actually note is that it's actually down on the viewings from last year's The Church on Ruby Road. Ruby Road scored 4.73 million in the overnights, whereas this one scored 4.11 million in the overnights. So there is a significant drop. When Ruby Road had actually got its consolidation figures through, it was confirmed that it had consolidated to 7.49 million viewers. This is why I'm not going to make a prediction, because who knows what's going to happen. It could go either way. We will see what happens, of course, and see if it ends up being a very high scoring show for the BBC that night and making it into the top 10, or if another programme will win. It is interesting to note its actual positioning, though, on the schedule for Christmas Day. Doctor Who is wedged between Strictly Come Dancing and Wallace and Gromit. It's not particularly late in the day. It was on at 5:10 p.m, but I believe this is very strategic. It's placed between two things that I would actually believe the BBC would believe that people would tune in and watch Doctor Who because of what's either side of it. Not that I actually believe that the BBC nowadays truly care about Doctor Who. I don't even think they ever really fully understood it. But I digress, because in general, normally, a lot of people do actually tune in for Strictly Come Dancing. Strictly did have a bad year with its scandal with Giovanni Panice and Amanda Abington, and it seems to have had a lot of cause for contention this year, much like Doctor Who. Like I say, it's possible that the BBC were hoping that people would be tuning in, and especially in preparation for the new Wallace and Gromit movie, which I can actually only imagine would have been highly anticipated, because this is the first movie that's been released since the loss of Peter Sallis, who was the original voice actor of Wallace. According to the viewing figures for the overnights, it really didn't happen. Wallace and Gromit smashed them both. And yes, Wallace and Gromit is later on in the day, and yes, more people do tune in later on in the day, but people were clearly anticipating Wallace and Gromit a lot more, because if I think about it realistically, out of the two that I would actually choose to watch, Doctor Who or Wallace and Gromit, I know which one I would choose, and back in the day they would have both been on my top list. Whilst we do actually need to wait for the consolidation, these overnights do actually tell us a lot. It tells me that the consumers who watch this on terrestrial viewing are no longer rushing to watch it. It's Christmas Day, and other than the reasons that I have discussed in this video, theoretically they would tune in. At least that's what I would think. Now, the overnights are down here in the UK for the Christmas special. However, according to Flix Patrol, even though we won't really actually have the full information in this case until we get the Nielsen charts, it didn't chart on Disney Plus, and I've not received any confirmation from anyone to say that it did chart recently. Whereas in the previous series, I did get information from American viewers that it did chart briefly and then it disappeared. I've not received that information this time. They didn't do a midnight release on the BBC iPlayer either this time, which is also an interesting thing to note. We did say it didn't work and that it was completely unfair to terrestrial viewers. Now, it could just be that for this particular special, they didn't bother doing it, but they will do it again for next series. It's possible. Maybe that's part of the deal. It's getting to the crunch soon, though. They really shouldn't have filmed two series back to back. That was really a big mistake, because what that didn't allow them to do was it didn't allow them to listen to what the fans actually had to say feedback-wise about the show. Sure, they've taken on notes from Disney, even though Disney are apparently not having any input, but they have. But what the fans think truly are what makes the show, in my opinion, and a lot of fans have not been impressed. And who knows if they will actually be able to go back and make changes. That would mean spending more money, right? I would be surprised if Disney stayed in the deal for any longer, but then if they really need to get those rights again to Bluey, they may have no choice but to do so. I don't actually think Disney cares all that much about Doctor Who, to be honest with you. They try and make it sound like they are, but it's not actually pulling in any of the subscriptions to Disney Plus. Now, I know that viewing is different these days. I am aware of all of that. I get people tell me countless times, no matter how many times I say it in my videos, I am aware of it. But it does actually look like there has been a significant decrease in the viewing of the Christmas episodes. I used to look forward to watching Doctor Who on Christmas Day, but not so much anymore. I'm not sure if people hold much score in the consolidation, particularly if there is a delay. So say we have to wait for 10 days, then it's a little bit fishy in my opinion. The terrestrial viewing figures do actually give us a good starting point, even though viewing is different these days. However, I think it actually does tell us what we actually need to know, and that this show really truly does need a rest. And if they're not going to rest it, then get a whole entire new production team, new writers, fresh blood, fresh takes, ditch the showrunner position, go back to producer, and work that way. This episode, Joy to the World, would have actually served as a really good introductory episode to the Shooty Doctor. It was a far better episode than The Church on Ruby Road, and that's saying something because this episode was mid at best. I guess time will tell. We'll find out what the consolidation viewing figures are and what that could mean for Doctor Who in the future, because it is our show after all, and I no longer recognise it. Let me know what you think. Shout about it, don't shout about it, like and subscribe. I will be on the Senssphere tomorrow night talking about Joy to the World. If you'd like to join us for that one, then please feel free. I will be back on Sunday with another Doctor Who video. Thanks very much for watching. Bye bye.